Now on CoastTV News.
Year-round storage approved for the Tharros Village in Lewis. How this changes operations for the space for the homeless off of Route 1.
Did this Ocean City councilman meet the requirements to run for a seat on the Ocean City Council? That is the question.
A pile of wood. This old Route 1 farmhouse demolished. What's next for the property?
It's looking pretty unavoidable. Dangerously cold weather is coming our way.
This is CoastTV News at 5.
The current storage at the Tharros Village in Lewis. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. We begin tonight with the Sussex County Planning and Zoning Commission approving year-round storage for the Tharros Village.
Sussex County's Planning and Zoning Commission approved that year-round storage for the Tharros Village unanimously today in Georgetown. And CoastTV News reporter Brandon Ferguson is live in Lewis at the site of Tharros. Brandon, the director of the village, says this will make maintenance a lot easier.
Maddie, if you look behind me and on this other side of this fence to the right of this gate, that is where the 28 tents go for the Tharros Village. And we're right next to the salt barn here in Lewis. And if you look at these tarps and pallets, that's the current storage here for the Tharros Village. And with Sussex County Planning and Zoning Commission approving this change, more storage will come here and stay here year-round. The Tharros Village off of Coastal Highway in Lewis, empty and covered by snow. With the county's Planning and Zoning Commission looking at approval to keep things like these tent platforms here year-round. Site director for the Tharros Village, Mike Agnew, says that will make things a lot smoother.
We'll be able to leave some of our assets behind here, and that includes the platforms that the tents sit on, a lot of the other infrastructure items that we have here.
The village is seasonal from March 15th through November 30th with 28 tents up. Agnew says with the village looking into upgrading to heavy-duty tents, keeping the tents platforms on site will take away the hassle of moving things out every November.
We may still have to pack certain things up at the end of the season, but it does make maintaining the infrastructure a lot easier.
The village lays empty now, but if an approval happens, organizers will have more flexibility on keeping things put in Lewis. And since that approval did happen, that approval aligns with a previous agreement between the Tharros Village and the state of Delaware. Live in Lewis, Brandon Ferguson, CoastTV News.
Sussex County's Code Purple shelters are open through March 15th, offering separate beds for men and women, 14 at St. Jude's in Lewis for men, and 14 at the Lutheran Church of Our Savior in Rehoboth Beach for women. Those shelters close March 15th, the same day Tharros Village reopens in Lewis.
And this brings us to our CoastTV poll. We want to know what should be the county's top focus with Tharros Village.
Let's take a look at the results so far. 25% say public safety, 51% say accountability, 10% say cost, and 14% say neighborhood impact.
If you haven't voted yet, if you want to go vote, it's easy to do. Just go to coasttv.com or use our CoastTV mobile app. The Ocean City Council discussed the residency status of a fellow council member, Tony DeLuca, today. One of the requirements to be on the council is to live in town for 4 months, something that is now in question. CoastTV News reporter Kevin Zappe is live in Ocean City. Kevin, the council made a motion to look further into the issue.
Charlie, we saw a lot of back and forth debate today on the residency status of Tony DeLuca. And here are a few notable things that took place. Certain council members brought up DeLuca's 2 properties. The one on the right is his home in Ocean City. The one on the left is his home in Annapolis. Some council members questioned where he actually lives. Council also brought up DeLuca's Easy Pass records, showing the amount of times he comes back to Ocean City. But with the idea of 2 homes and an Easy Pass records shown, DeLuca can stay on the council for now. The council did decide to look into changing the charter requirements to be a sitting council member in a future work session. And if those changes are made and DeLuca does not fit the requirements, certain council members hope DeLuca will resign on his own. Now, coming up at 6, we will hear from the person that submitted the investigation request. I'm Kevin Zappe, live in Ocean City, CoastTV News.
And we're taking a live look into Cambridge right now. We have been getting beautiful sunsets even as it's been cold. Let's go check in with our chief meteorologist, Paul Williams.
Well, one thing about this, Charlie, is that even as you take a look at the view of Laurel from behind me, some pictures just communicate cold. So just have this in your mind, except take it up several notches as far as this weekend's cold is concerned. And it starts as early as tomorrow morning. But we're at 35 degrees right now, so it's not like the cold is short-stopping by any stretch of the imagination. Now we'll drop down to 29 degrees as early as 9 o'clock with scattered cloud cover in place. Here's an expectation for tomorrow morning: 17 in Harrington, 13 in Georgetown, 13 Salisbury, 13 Princess Anne. And folks, this is just the tip of the iceberg.
If you've driven north on Route 1 near Milton, you've probably seen this old farmhouse for decades. Well, now it looks like this. It is demolished. Coast TV News reporter Emma Aiken is live in Milton. Emma, the man who leases the property, says it was just time for it to come down.
Maddie, take a look behind me here. What was once a house is now just remnants and pieces of wood. Despite these recent storms, this was not solely because of the weather. The man who leases the property says certainly Mother Nature didn't help. It was kind of adding to the wear and tear of the house here, but that ultimately the condition of the house was becoming a safety hazard, so they tore it down. For what's next for the property, he says the possibilities are endless. We do know this house is old. Some accounts say the house even dates back to the 1860s. Daryl Hughes, who leases the land, wants to rebuild the produce stand on the property and allow it to be a place for food trucks and yard sales, have kids' activities, and maybe even a Christmas village when the season comes around.
There's nothing to eat on this side of the highway, northbound side of the highway, from Lewis all the way up to, say, North Milford.
Hughes says getting all of his ideas and plans to become a reality has really been an uphill battle over the past few years, and he welcomes any help with open arms, whether it be cleanup here or any other ideas that people may have. He really just wants to make it a fun place for kids and the whole community. Reporting live here in Milton, Emma Aiken, Coast TV News.
Well, growth on the coast is a big issue because everybody wants to live here, which I would say it's a good problem to have, but it does come at a cost.
For months, Coast TV News has investigated how we got to where we are today and what's next. That's our topic for an hour-long special. It airs tonight on Coast TV News at 7. Here's a sneak peek.
Our coast was once comfortable and quaint. The scenes were serene. It was paradise found. Now the coast is rushing. More people.
It's no longer lower, slower Delaware.
More houses.
This empty field could become another housing development in Milton.
They are building everywhere.
More traffic.
Traffic backed up for miles.
It's horrible.
More problems.
The fire department says if something doesn't change, they can't afford to keep up the ambulance service.
It's suicidal lack of planning.
More. Will the clutter continue? This is the price of paradise.
Again, you can catch that full hour-long special, The Price of Paradise, Growth on the Coast, tonight here on Coast TV at 7.
The Chesapeake Bay watershed to see a boost, how much money and what it's going to go to.
And we're looking at very breezy conditions. The wind's going to pick up momentum. That's going to exacerbate the problem with the cold that's on the way as well.
But first, a car crash in Georgetown, what firefighters found when they arrived, up next.
This is Coast TV News at 5.
A crash in Georgetown. At approximately 7 p.m. Tuesday, the Georgetown Fire Company responded to a crash at the intersection of DuPont Boulevard and West Market Street. Firefighters say 2 people were hurt, but only had minor injuries.
President Trump signed a new funding bill into law. Now comes the hard part, negotiating a deal to fund Homeland Security with changes to ICE and in just 10 days.
The border czar has already announced one change. NBC's national correspondent Julie Sirkin has details on why Republicans say Democrat demands will make this an uphill climb.
The government shutdown is over. But the hard work is only beginning for lawmakers, working to hatch a bipartisan deal on changes to immigration enforcement in exchange for their votes to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Democrats are making at least 3 demands: an end to roving ICE patrols and warrantless arrests, and for agents to take off their masks. But not surprisingly, the two sides are far apart.
I think what we put together is a finite list of reasonable changes that mean that the ICE officials and the Border Patrol officials handled by the same standards as police in your community. Why shouldn't they?
If a deal means something that will effectively prevent ICE from doing its job, like completely changing the warrant requirements, like forcing ICE agents to be exposed so they can be doxxed, I'm not going to support that.
Negotiators, including the White House, have just 9 days to find common ground. The push for change brought on by protests in Minneapolis against the administration's immigration crackdown, especially after 2 American citizens were shot and killed by federal agents. Looking to turn down the temperature, Border Czar Tom Homan today said that hundreds of federal immigration officers will be leaving.
I have announced effective immediately, we will draw down 700 people effective today. 700 law enforcement personnel.
More than 3,000 federal immigration agents swarmed Minneapolis as part of the surge, and Democrats say removing 600 is not enough.
It's not close to enough. They all have to leave now.
In an exclusive interview, NBC Nightly News anchor Tom Llamas asked President Trump about the situation in Minneapolis.
Mr. President, speaking of Minneapolis, what did you learn?
I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough.
And while officials work to soften tensions there, on Capitol Hill, negotiations are ramping up, a task some lawmakers call impossible, others holding out hope.
We ought to come up with a miracle once in a while around here.
If Republicans and Democrats can't come to a compromise, there is a good chance that the Department of Homeland Security will go without funding. That means no money for disaster relief, FEMA response, TSA. But get this, ICE and immigration enforcement will still get funding. That's because Republicans passed additional money in the president's so-called One Big Beautiful bill last summer. In Washington, Julie Sirkin, NBC News.
Coming up next, Paul Williams, who's in our Coast TV First Alert Weather Center with your full forecast after this.
Well, my producer said I'm being a bit dramatic, but here we go. This is the kind of cold that's got me concerned, okay, over the weekend. I mean, it's gotten a little bit better because now it's looking at maybe a -15 instead of -20, but -15, -20, tomato, finale, whatever, okay? It's the same thing to me. All right, so 33 degrees for us right now. 31 is what we're going to drop down to by 9 o'clock with scattered cloud cover in place. Now, we do have breezy conditions expected to kick off for us. We have gale wind watches that will kick in for us going into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because the winds are going to pick up momentum up to about, some of the models are indicating 50-mile-per-hour winds. So we actually have a yellow alert night for Saturday night and a yellow alert morning for Sunday morning. But it's mainly about what's going to happen, over the weekend because of the cold that's going to kick in for us. So Saturday, strong winds, gusts up to 40 to 50 miles per hour, biting wind chills, well below zero. Sunday, we're going to clock 15 below to 9 below, frostbite within 15 minutes because the winds are gusting up to 35 to 40 miles per hour. We have a high-pressure system that's going to be centered right over the Ohio Valley region. That's going to pull into the cold air. Here we go again. A low-pressure system off of the coast. That's going to double the effort of pulling that cold air right on top of us. So for tomorrow, winds are out of the north, and we're looking at temperatures hovering right around freezing with a good deal of sunshine. That's not going to help us out as far as feeling warm, though. You see, we start off at 24 degrees Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, we're at freezing. We warm up to freezing. You caught that, right? Then Friday morning, we start off with a few more clouds in place for us. It might be Friday night. We'll watch out for a chance of a snow flurry or two. In fact, we see that pushing across going into Saturday morning about 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30. Then it pulls out of the way for the most part. We could see a little bit of accumulation, but that's not going to be the big story. The big story is going to be the winds and how cold it is. Look at Saturday. Winds out of the northwest up to 47 miles per hour in Rehoboth Beach. 47 mile per hour winds with temperatures dropping more. And then we stay with 40 mile per hour winds up to 50 actually in Bethany Beach, 6:30 in the evening for Saturday. Then it's going to feel like this, 2 degrees Friday morning. Saturday morning, we start off at 0 to -1 in Milton. Then it drops to -9 by Saturday afternoon. Saturday night, we drop down to -12, and then Sunday morning, we wake up to 15 below. And the winds out of the northwest still howling at 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. That's what you call very uncomfortable. So for tonight, mostly cloudy, cold takeover, and 17. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, but it stays chilly all day long. And then Friday is when we start kicking off into that Arctic air, starting to make its move on us real quickly. 34 degrees, lots of sunshine. It'll be a pretty weekend, if you take a look at your 7-day forecast. It's also going to be pretty cold, like 7 and 9 for the overnight lows.
Chesapeake Bay watershed conservation efforts, they're getting a boost at almost $7 million. That's in federal grants. That's going to support more than 30 projects across 6 states, including Maryland and Virginia. With matching funds, the total investment reaches nearly $13 million. The money will fund habitat protection, water quality improvements, and access to outdoor recreation. Applications for Chesapeake Wild's 2026 grants are now open and due April 9th.
Coming up tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network, your game of the night live at 6:30 when Smyrna plays Dover in boys basketball. Then catch the final score at 10:30. Exclusively on DSN Plus, along with the game we just mentioned at 5:30, Pocomoke taking on Mardella in boys basketball. Also 5:30, CSD plays North Carolina in boys basketball. Then at 6, Seaford plays Lake Forest in boys basketball. Don't forget the Super Bowl is right here on Coast TV. It is Sunday, February 8th. Pre-game starts at 1, kickoff at 6:30.
A programming note for you: due to the Winter Olympics from February 9th through the 20th, you can watch Jeopardy on our sister station, Fox 21. Same time, 7:30 p.m., same show, same time, just a different channel while the games are on.
James Albrand answered his nation's call not once, but twice. First serving 4 years in the United States Navy aboard the USS Constellation, including a tour in Vietnam, and then enlisting in the Air Force after a year in the reserves for another deployment to the war zone. His courage was proven beyond doubt while stationed at Andersen Air Force Base in Guam, where he risked his own life by welding a ruptured JP fuel line to ensure B-52 bombers could continue their critical refueling operations during wartime. This selfless act exemplified the quiet heroism that defines those who serve. James Albrand's dedication across 2 branches of the military and his willingness to put mission and fellow service members above his own safety represent the very best of American service.
Spicer Brothers and Coast TV are honoring military persons and first responders serving Delmarva. If you have a family member, friend, or community member that you would like to nominate for a Coast TV salute, go to coasttvsalutes.com.
DNREC announced today the 2026 lottery for state wildlife area spring turkey hunting permits drew in a record number of applications. 540 were available with 992 applicants. That's the most since 1991. The permits issued will cover one of the 4 turkey seasons from April 11th to May 10th. To see if you got lucky, the DNREC website will have all the information. And now here's a look into Laurel. One more check on your forecast after this.
Coming up new on Coast TV News at 6, dog paw safety. What owners need to know this winter as our furry friends get their exercise.
And you'll need to know that information because this weekend it's going to be dangerous for everybody out there, whether you have fur or not, right? So we're at 35 degrees here in Salisbury, and we're staying relatively clear. The winds are pushing out of the north relatively at about 6 miles per hour. We have a gale wind watch that kicks in on really Friday, Saturday going into Sunday, but we'll be mindful of that around the entire Delmarva Peninsula as we prepare for that cold. Our umbrella giveaway winner is Yvonne Hawk of Selbyville. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Property Restoration. And call our weather line to keep up with your forecast. Sponsored by the law offices of Brockstead, Mandalis, and Federico. The number to call is 443-880-9100. And then finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. Now, we are calling for a yellow alert day for Saturday and Sunday. Really, I could say all day Saturday, to be honest. It's going to be that kind of cold. But mainly it's for Saturday night going into Sunday morning when the wind chills will fall well below 0, possibly as low as 15 below, in some cases, maybe even 20.
All right, Paul, thank you. And thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 5.
For more news, more local weather, download our Coast TV News app.
Inside Edition is up next.
And we've got more Coast TV coming up tonight at 6. Have a great evening.